Hello YouTubers, this is Jacques from The Moving Icon, and today we're going to go through 17 top tips to make your photography better for 2017. I want to talk to you about a couple of things before I start my list. Check out my YouTube Rewind. I'm really proud of it. I love what I've done. And also check out my channel mission statement. Those two things, if you check those out and you like what you see, a thumbs up and a subscribe always helps me and it helps support my channel. So I would appreciate it. Stay tuned also for behind the scenes photo shoots. There's a lot coming up very soon. Some are done. I'm editing some now. I'll leave links below to the ones I've already finished that are already on the channel and you can check them out. Also, I tested out this thing right here, which is the Panasonic FZ 2500 or the 2500. I have already tested a bit on the video side, done some sample footage, but now I actually tested the stills in low light. Stay tuned for that review coming very soon. Without further ado, let's get into the top 17 tips for 2017 to make your photography awesome, better, amazing, and you as a photographer, a great person. Now, before I start, I want to tell you guys, this is advice, and I want you to consider from who the source is coming from. Now, I am not a photographer with 30 years of professional experience to my name. I am a person who has learned a lot of lessons by shooting a lot of photo shoots. I've taken a lot of advice from people whom I admire, YouTubers that I think that are great, and other people around that have shown me a lot of great things. And the last thing is that it is based on my personal philosophy on life in general. So based on those facts, if you think it'd be interesting to watch, keep on watching because I think these points are great. But if you don't, it's okay. I understand. Point number 1, know light and all its behavior as much as possible. Find out how light flows, bounces, and illuminates the subject as much as you can. I cannot overstate how much I learned this and thought it wasn't important initially when I started taking photos. I would look at a photo, think it was fantastic and great, and not know why. And a lot of the reasons had a lot to do with highlights and shadows. A long time ago, I'd hear people talking about highlights and shadows, and I said, what are they talking about, highlights, shadows? Yeah, I guess it's important. It is super important. Understand light, understand how it flows, and you will definitely get better at what you do. If you are to spend money, make sure that your priority is your lens kit. All decisions should be made according to that. Buy your lens camera bodies according to your kit and your lens kit and not the opposite. Glass and light are the most important things. After that, the body is secondary. I can tell you right now, this is also something I learned. I will get a great shot from a fantastic lens and a mediocre body, but the other way around is not the case. If I have a great body, that light is still going through a crappy lens. Number 3, knowing your equipment is a lot more important than having the latest, greatest equipment. Never underestimate the knowledge of knowing exactly where a button is, when you can use that button, and when you go to it, you know where it is and don't have to think about it anymore. That is worth a lot more than having a camera that can brush your teeth in the morning. Point number 4, do not let the greats intimidate you. Be inspired by them. When you look at some of these photos and you look and you go, oh my God, that is absolutely amazing. Don't let it discourage you. Look at what the person does, look at their method, talk to them, or listen to what they have to say, follow workshops they have. If you admire what they do, find out how they do it. Do everything you can to find out. It is possible to do what they are doing. You don't want to imitate, but you want to be inspired. Don't be intimidated by the greats. Point number 5, prioritize the subject's well-being. If ever you are shooting a subject, be it street photography, fashion photography, or anything, in a fashion photo shoot, show the images that you're shooting to the person that you are shooting. In street photography, you can be incognito or you can ask people to take pictures. It's very important to prioritize the well-being of your subject. Point number 6, moments come and go. We lose moments, but gear and gear adjustments and the gear itself, it'll always be there. It's always been replaceable. So when that moment comes, do not think so much of the settings you have to do. Think of getting that shot. Get the shot and don't lose the shot because you're thinking of all these perfect settings that you need. What's most important is to get the moment. This means, even if you are a person who prioritizes being in manual mode, if you see that moment and you know the only way you can get it is to put yourself in all auto or in P, do it. Get the moment, because that goes away. Learning and knowing how to get those shots and getting the right settings, you can work on that later. Point number 7. Embrace your mistakes. Now, nothing is tougher to do than to go to a photo shoot and look at what you just did and look at all the mistakes that happened. The aperture was bad, you get a dark shot and all that stuff. You will learn from those mistakes. You have to look at them, and it's tough and it's not easy, and you always want to feel good about what you just did. When you go to look at those shots and you see that there has been mistakes, you have to embrace them. You have to say, okay, I just did this photo shoot, let me go into Bridge or Lightroom and start looking at these mistakes that I made. And when you see them, don't freak out and don't be too discouraged. Say, okay, I've learned, next time it won't happen. On the flip side, what happens is you gotta pat yourself on the back when you see that shot where the settings were right, the moment was right, and you got everything right. So the most important thing about this point is to embrace your mistakes and live with them, and it's okay. Do not be afraid. Point number 8, and this goes back to what I was saying at the beginning of the video, is consider your source. When you take advice and you get advice or criticism, always consider the portfolio of the person talking to you. If the criticism comes to you on a photograph, first of all, you have to ask yourself the question, is this person a model? Is this person a photographer? If they are a photographer, what sort of photographs do they take? Is it anything that you find admirable? If it is something you find admirable, then you got to consider their criticism and say, okay, what are they telling me? If it is something you find less admirable, well, you know what? You can just turn around and move on. Just take or leave, you know, politely say thank you for your advice and move on. So it's very important to consider the source of the person giving you the criticism. Okay, here we go. Yeah, there we go. Number 9, think workflow. I say this because it's very important to think workflow because it also involves a couple of other things. It involves you jumping into a project even if you don't know everything about it, because the only way you can get a knowledge of a full workflow from preparation of the photo shoot all the way to the end where you deliver that final shot that's perfect is to actually do it. You can study and look into all these books on theory and follow workshops, but if you do not do that workflow yourself, you will not be able to learn what that workflow is about. Point number 10, the love of the gear will be your downfall. Now this brings us back to point 3, which talks about the fact that the knowledge of your gear is more important than actually acquiring more gear. Now in our day and age, with new stuff coming out all the time, it's just out of hand. You start to want to know more about gear and different new features that are on a camera than actually going out and doing the initial thing, which is taking great photos. matter what you're doing, be it videos, photo, any sort of visual media, you are communicating an emotion. You must be aware that you are trying to capture emotion in all your photos, no matter what it is, be it mad, sad, melancholy, you are capturing emotion. Be aware of this fact. So when you see that emotion pop up, you go get it. The technical is very important, your lighting and everything, but if you do not capture any sort of emotion and your photo is void of emotion and technically perfect, it'll be of no interest. Point number 12, and this goes to a guy I really like a lot, Ted Forbes, and he basically said in one of his points of advice is that it's okay to leave the initial goal, the whole idea of improvisation. When you have a goal for a photo shoot and then you go out and you start shooting, keep that attitude that you might see something else during that photo shoot that is more magical than the initial idea. Don't stick just to that one thing you want. It's important to keep a plan, it's important to do that, but it is also important to go out and get a great shot. And that might mean swaying away from your initial goal. Recognize the magic. What's happening to my thumb? Point number 13, and it relates a bit to point number 12, never underestimate the utility of a mistake. Evolution on this planet. Why we have our 5 fingers, everything about us was the product of natural selection. This in itself is a collection of evolutionary mistakes that leads to life and the organisms on the earth and the perfection that they hold. Why am I talking about that? I'm talking about that because I think that all beauty comes from the recognition that a mistake can actually be useful. And I think that when you create a mistake, when a flash misfires, or you shoot underexposed or overexposed, and you look at that photo after that's out of focus, but something about it is magical, it is a mistake that just so happens to be something beautiful. Never underestimate the utility of a mistake. Point number 14, I come from a songwriting background, and in songwriting, one of the golden rules of country music is to always communicate a story. You have to get a story out, no matter what it is. Yes, it might be small, it might be a little thing. For glamour photography, it might be that girl that's sort of nonchalant or something like that. Or in street photography, it might be the person on the street that doesn't have money. It might be a rich person that's next to that person who has no money, and there's a story there. You must communicate a story in your photographs. Point number 15, don't take all of this too seriously. Yes, it's serious and you love what you do, be it a hobby or if you want to be a professional photographer, but remember that you have to take this as a passion, and all passion needs that ability to laugh at oneself, to laugh at your craft, to laugh at what you do. Don't take it too seriously and as heavy duty as it might become. Point number 16, slow down, slow down. This is a point I learned a lot in the last 4 months with my studio shoots. There was a lot to synchronize, a lot of people to organize, and what I would do is sometimes it would just get out of hand because I'd say, well, I have a plan and I have certain things I want to do, and then certain people would come up to me to ask me for advice on stuff during the shoot, and my mind would just almost explode. So a lot of times what I would do in that case is just pull back, take a little rest, take some time to take a drink of water, make sure my personal well-being was okay, because once I get in that personal well-being, my headspace is a lot better, and when my headspace is a lot better, I take better photos. So to me, it's very important to slow down and not go too nuts when we're taking shots. It's a tough one, I think, to actually recognize when you're actually getting too sped up, but try to find the ability to slow yourself down sometimes. It always makes for better shots in the end. And point number 17, everybody, go out and shoot. Go out and take pictures. Take pictures, take pictures, take pictures. Have a small camera in your pocket all the time. Have your cell phone around. Take shots. You'd be surprised what you can grab when you're doing that, and the amount of knowledge you can get by just taking pictures. That's simple. I mean, you can sit there, collect a lot of gear, have a lot of great equipment, have a great bag for your equipment, have a great knowledge in your head about what it is to take a photograph, know about a lot of people and all the greats that take photos. But if you do not go out and take those photos, they will not be there. You won't have any photos, your knowledge won't increase, and you won't learn how to take that workflow that I was talking about before and personalizing it as your own, making this photography process your own. There you go, there it is, guys. These 17 points for making your photography amazing, making you as a photographer a better photographer, and they're just my personal points. So please, people, understand they come from me. I'm not telling you to go out and do this and you must do it. It's just how I feel in the past 2 years from all the learning I've had, what I think people should learn. Now, my thanks goes out to the people who I have watched and actually listened to their advice. Not all these people are photographers, so here we go. We got Ted Forbes, thank you very much. Chuck Jines, love your work, it's really great. David So, I love you guys, you're great. Chase Jarvis, Kaiman Wong, Tim Milgram, Blunty, Zach Arias, you are amazing. Where are you, Zach? We don't see you anymore. Nace, Serge Ramelli from Paris. C'est fantastique ce que tu fais, Serge. J'adore, j'adore, j'adore. Continue, c'est fantastique. Spyros, Heniadis, and Elena, Jasic. This year, you guys have really changed the way I do my photos. They've went from here to way up here, and I hope it's gonna get better in 2017. I hope you guys have enjoyed. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. For my high quality stuff, check out Behance. If you like this video, click the thumbs up at the bottom. If you want to keep in cahoots with what I do, subscribe, people, subscribe. I also have a Patreon page that has just come out, and don't forget, everybody, keep on making something from nothing.